You are looking at a highway painted by one Bob Dylan. Not bad, huh? And that's appropriate because today's song is Down the Highway. You're also going to see a lot of pictures taken by me. This was a fun excuse to use these just random shots I have. Pretty much all Texas highways. This is the fourth song on the Free Will and Bob Dylan, and it's the first, minor song, I would say. Not saying it's not a great song, but the first three are just these epic songs, right? Blowing in the Wind, Girl from the North Country, Masters of War. Well, not even a young Bob Dylan can keep that pace up forever, so it's time to slow things down a little bit. That being said, not only is it a very good song, but it's a very personal one. That's because, as every Dylan fan knows, the song is about his girlfriend, Suze Rodolo, I always mispronounce her name, who he met in New York in Greenwich Village and was a huge influence on him, and ended up going to Italy at a critical time in their relationship. So you could say this was the first instance of Dylan's deeply personal songwriting, which, he would carry forward throughout his career and really pioneer. Not that there weren't a lot of songs in the past about a man missing his woman. There certainly were, and this fits into that tradition, specifically as a blues song, which is what this is. He, meaning the character in the song, misses his woman, is wandering, as the song says at the start. So, very first verse, while I'm walking down the highway with my suitcase in my hand. Yes, I'm walking down the highway with my suitcase in my hand. Lord, I really miss my baby. She's in some far-off land. That's obviously as far from groundbreaking as it gets. Just very traditional, very bluesy. He seems to have a lot of fun in this song, which is odd considering that it's, based on heartache. He has kind of a sardonic air throughout the song, especially when he focuses on the loss of his woman. And, I'm no expert on the old blues. I've listened to a lot of it. No expert, but if he adds anything new here, I would say it's that. There's some irony thrown in there, and he seems almost a little bit amused at his own predicament. Let's do the anatomy of the song just a little bit. It's 6 verses with 6 lines each. All of them tend to be pretty short. And every verse or stanza has that same rhythm that you heard in the first one, so I'll just do one more. Well, I'm bound to get lucky, baby, or I'm bound to die trying. Yes, I'm bound to get lucky, baby. Lord, Lord, I'm bound to die trying. We'll meet me in the middle of the ocean, and we'll leave this old highway behind. And that's the fourth verse, so the second half of the song, and I chose it for a reason, that's where the song kind of takes a turn. Before that, it is really traditional blues. Not that it's bad to listen to, it's not at all. But, he's a wanderer, he's missing his woman, he's a gambler, he's down on his luck, just kind of check, check, check. That all changes here with the introduction of the ocean, because I think that is obviously a direct reference to his girlfriend who went over, across the ocean to get to Italy, and it introduces this juxtaposition between the road and the ocean. The road or the highway, it's a very traditional, mechanism to mention. The ocean, not so much. And I think that's actually a brilliant dichotomy that he uses, and this might be a little overlooked in the song. So the, American wandering musician, he's on the road, that's some familiar dynamic, and whether it's Woody Guthrie or anybody else, he can choose where he goes, and you'll see at the end of the song, he's basically walking across the entire country. But, back to the real-life situation that spurred the writing of the song, he can't get to his woman. This isn't, I'm going to Mississippi to get my woman, right? She's on the other side of the world, hence the ocean. So you have these two different things. They're both things you can travel on, these methods of transportation, sailing versus, walking or driving, whatever. And they're at odds, so you get this odd couplet, which is my favorite, well, meet me in the middle of the ocean, and we'll leave this old highway behind. That's really great the more you focus on it. If you actually just kind of stop and think about it or, read through it in your mind. Is there an offer there to leave his familiar surroundings, right, as long as she will join him? There's also an acknowledgement that there's no point going unless she's willing. Like, he can't escape his trap unless she wants him to. Meet me in the middle of the ocean. Those two lines end the pivotal verse that I was talking about, and then the rest is kind of that new song, but with the exact same form and format as the previous. So after that you have, the ocean took my baby stole my heart from me. I'm going to skip to the last line in this, the 5th verse, penultimate verse. Lord, she took it away to Italy, Italy. So now you're at a, directly biographical note, and thereby the transition from very traditional, chapter and verse blues to this little bit more odd, idiosyncratic, and personal song is complete, and just in time for the final verse. Others have made interesting observations about the first half of the song, so I'm probably underselling it. Possible allusions to the afterlife, he addresses the Lord, the highway could be the path to heaven. There's a possible House of the Rising Sun illusion, and yes, I chose this picture to coincide with that point and probably ruined the effect by then spelling it out. Anyway, back to the song. So we're ready for the final verse, and in it, it's a little bit hopeless because he's really back to being stuck on the highway. There's no mention of the ocean, there's no mention of his lady. It seems like he's just going to be wandering forever. And he really, I think, drives that home in the final couplet, from the Golden Gate Bridge all the way to the Statue of Liberty. His prison is quite large. It's the United States of America, coast to coast. But of course, as big as it is, it's not big enough because it doesn't reach all the way to the object of his affection. Well, he talked about the blues a lot in this song. It's worth noting on his singing, which I'm going to focus on now a little bit. Yes, it's very bluesy, as you can imagine, but here at the end, he kind of gets into some yodeling. It obviously calls to mind, Woody Guthrie and that whole type of singing, Americana, American roots. It also adds to the flavor of this wandering American musician, and it, at least I think, helps signal that the song is ending because it's something you haven't heard before. Along those lines, he uses a new technique here as well. The second to last line, Golden Gate Bridge, is pronounced normally, just bridge. It's kind of cut off even. Well, every other penultimate line, every other second to last line, and all the other verses are stretched out. Dylan's voice, as we all know, not what would be conventionally considered great, but I think it's great nonetheless, and it's great the way he uses it. I think that's where he really stands out as a vocalist. Listen to or think about the feelings he elicits as a singer in Masters of War, our last song, and then compare that singer to the one from this song, Down the Highway. Thanks.